My name is Bahar Gudani. I was born and raised in the United States. I was originally born in Queens, New York, 28 years ago. And our family has a very rich and vibrant history in this country, both trying to balance our dual identities, our Kurdish identity and our American one. And we also have a history of protesting in this country for the rights of our people, the Kurdish people. Unfortunately, recent events due to the invasion of ISIS of the Iraqi region and the Kurdistan region have led to our people protesting once again in this country. And the ideals that the Kurdish people have been protesting for are almost identical to the ideals of the American people. The same reason that Americans in this country rose up against the British all those years ago to fight for their rights and their freedoms for equality and tolerance are the same reasons that the Kurds are now protesting today. The Kurdistan region has always been a very safe and prosperous region, especially after the Iraqi invasion or the U.S. invasion of 2003. It's always been a very tolerant region. We have taken in over 100,000 Christian refugees from Mosul. About another 100,000 Yazidis have fled to the region, and they have been fed and cared for as much as the Kurdistan region has been able to. And yet our region still continues to suffer. Our Peshmerga, who are our freedom fighters, their name literally translated means those who face death, have been fighting for hundreds of years for freedom, but most recently they've been fighting ISIS with arms that simply are not enough to counter the American-made weapons that ISIS unfortunately was able to acquire. And at this point, the Kurds are asking for arms and additional humanitarian aid, but specifically arms. The weapons that they have just are not enough to counter the ISIS threat in the region. And without American help, without the help of our allies, it just does not seem possible that our people will be able to persevere. Granted, we do not need boots on the ground. Our people have always been ready and willing to die for our country and to fight courageously and willingly for our country. It is specifically weapons and humanitarian aid that the Kurds are now seeking from the United States. We have always been loyal allies of the United States. Their values and our values have always mirrored one another. We've always welcomed American soldiers and American dignitaries and diplomats with open arms, and we continue to do so. Our economic prosperity has been due to the stability that the United States and its allies have been able to secure for our region over the past 20+ years. And it should also be remembered that when the Kurds had the opportunity to select a government for their region 20 years ago, they chose a democracy. It wasn't imposed on them. They chose democratic freedom, democratic ideals for their people. And I think that should be noted when the United States is looking for key allies in the Middle East to support its own interests and its own objectives in the future. Specifically, as Kurdish Americans, we would like to see our congressmen support the Kurdistan regional government in its fight to stop the advance of ISIS and to remove it from the region. The security of the Kurdistan region and the security of a greater Iraq will lead to the security of the United States and its allies as well. ISIS is not just a threat to the Kurdish people or to the Iraqi people, it's a threat to the entire region and, quite frankly, to the entire world. Currently, they are the strongest and the richest terrorist organization, allowing them to branch out and commit any number of horrible acts in the future if they are not stopped. So I would like to ask all of our U.S. congressmen, and as a citizen of Virginia, I too would like to put pressure on my congressmen and my senators to extend a vote or extend support towards arming our fearless Peshmerga, who are not asking for American blood. We appreciate and support American soldiers, but we know that they've given a lot, and we are more than happy to sacrifice ourselves to allow our blood to water a prosperous and free Kurdistan in the future. What we need is arms. Without those arms to counter American-made weapons, there simply is no possibility of success. So we desperately need those arms. We have been armed lightly, and we appreciate that. The United States has carried out airstrikes against ISIS areas or ISIS-controlled areas in the past, and we remain deeply appreciative of those attacks. But in reality, they simply aren't enough. Targeted airstrikes in a limited capacity will not remove the threat of ISIS. What will remove them is an organized, strong resistance by our Peshmerga forces, who need to be well armed in order to counter that threat. And as Kurdish Americans, we were raised with the ideals of our people and with the ideals of Americans in this country. We have a very unique balance of our dual identities. And as much as we would love a safe and secure, prosperous United States, we also wish that for our people as well, who have suffered incredibly over the past century specifically. So once again, we would like to call on all of our political leaders, on all of our congressmen, to support an effort to arm our Peshmerga, to put its weight behind the Kurdistan regional government officials who continue to push for a safe and prosperous Kurdistan, who promote the rights and tolerance for minorities in the country. And we're not asking for independence. You certainly don't ask for independence. You take it, you fight for it. But at the time, we are willing to fight for a secure region that will be the benefit of all Kurds, all Iraqis, every citizen in the Middle East, and every citizen in the world. As PM Hishar Zebari said himself, or Foreign Minister Hishar Zebari said himself, the threat of ISIS is not just to the Iraqi people or to the Kurds, it's a threat to the world. And we are ready and willing to counter that threat, but we need American support, we need American arms, and we need American assistance to do that. Thank you.